Hello, it's me again, Mr. Jason Capundan, your teacher in the subject Theories of Crime Causation. Today, we are going to discuss the early general theories on the causes of crimes. To start with, let us begin with Demonology. So, Demonology is the study of demons or beliefs about demons, especially the methods used to summon and control them. Demonology is one of the earliest theories in criminology. In the ancient times, people believed that evil spirits or demons entered the human body to commit sins. This was the earliest explanation given regarding crime and criminal behavior. Terms like demons, witches, and Wendigo were used for people who had turned criminals. This society thought that it happened due to evil influence. Supernatural powers were considered the best explanation behind crime and sin. It was believed that a person did not commit crimes in his own free will, but under the influence of evil. An individual who commits a crime has been viewed as possessed by evil spirits or under divine wrath. Demonology is unfortunately a borderline science. So it explains crime that was based on the mixture of common logic and religious beliefs. Similar attempts to explain human behavior were made by astrologists. Development of astrology starts around 3500 BC. The positions of heavenly bodies such as constellations and planets affect human behavior. In 13th century, theology attempted to explain crime in similar fashion as demonology did before the theology. Introduction of the Inquisition of enabled clerics to be investigators, prosecutors, and judges at the same time. Now let us proceed to the early explanations of the causes of crime during the Age of Enlightenment. First, we have the positivist theory or the positivist school of thought. The positivist theory of crime presumed that scientific study of criminal behavior should find the causes of such behavior. They also believed that the causes of crimes are beyond the control of individual. Explanations of positivist theory were deterministic. Lombroso was influenced by Darwinism principles of evolution and used these ideas to support a thesis on inferiority of criminals. Positivist theory of crime implemented the idea of social Darwinism that individuals or groups develop certain physical and psychological attributes which allows them to function more efficiently in the social and natural environment. We can object to positivist theories of crime that the theories never accepted the idea about equality of gender rules. Lombroso thought that males were more lenient to crime because they were more masculine than females in general. Italian historian Renzo Villa thought that Lombroso's attempt to identify signs of criminality using biological traits are an inevitable result and part of the contextual development of 19th century penal science and medicine. The positivist theory of crime understanding was limited on the external appearance and phenotype properties as well as to identify the physical characteristics which were present in criminal penology. Positivist theory acts on the proposition that one who commits a crime cannot morally comprehend the wrongfulness of his actions in the same way individuals of average intelligence or who are socially accepted. The mind of those individuals have been affected in a particular way and therefore does not have the capability to make a conscious, rational choice to obey the law. Unfortunately, a case can be made based on this theory regarding shootings on school campuses where students have murdered fellow students, usually because of some type of bullying involved. In the early 1800s, public executions used to be commonplace. The idea was that society would be afraid of the public punishment that came with wrongdoing and adjust their actions. So this reasoning for punishment aligns with the view known as utilitarianism. So utilitarianism is a theory that one is motivated by pleasure and the fear of pain. So punishments can be used as a deterrent to commit crimes. In the mid 1800s, ideas about criminals and punishment started to evolve. Positivist criminology began to emerge, which is the study of criminal behavior based on external factors. And we have the Neoclassical Theory. So they argued that situations or circumstances that made it impossible to exercise free will are reasons to exempt the accused from conviction. These are: children and lunatics should not be regarded as criminals and free from punishment. Punishment is composed on some lawmakers but not to others by recognition of exempting and justifying circumstances. Next, we have the classical theory. So, under the classical theory, people choose to commit crime after weighing the benefits and costs of their actions. Crime can be deterred by certain severe and swift punishment. Man is essentially a moral creature with an absolutely free will to choose between good and evil, and therefore, more stress is placed upon the criminal himself. Basic criminal liability is human free will, and the purpose of the penalty is retribution. It endeavors to establish a mechanical and direct proportion between crime and penalty. That every man is therefore responsible for his actions. The law or the judge should determine the punishment to be attached to a criminal and should provide a scale of punishment to all persons committing the same crime, irrespective of age, sex, color, creed, or circumstance. And the punishment must fit the crime. Let us now differentiate the positivist and classical theories. They both define crime as an act or omission that violates the law and the norms of the society. But as far as the causes of crimes, the positivist theory explained that people who committed crimes were viewed as inferior beings and were physically different from non-offenders. These differences was referred to as the atavistic stigmata, or otherwise known as the evolutionary throwback. These biological anomaly were believed to have been caused by the primitive genes left behind in the criminal's DNA by their primitive ancestors. These can be sometimes seen in their physical traits. And the classical theory, people commit crime when they believe that the chance or rewards to them would be greater than the likelihood of punishment. In other words, crime will occur if crime is seen to be a better alternative than legitimate vocation or profession, or if the benefit of crime is higher than its consequence or punishment. Its focus, the positivist theory focus, is the man, not the crime committed. However, the classical theory focus is the crime or the criminal act and not the criminal. And positivist theory view human nature as malleable, determined by biological, psychological, and social environment, no moral responsibility. And the classical theory view human nature as hedonistic, free-willed, rationality, moral responsible for their own actions. Positivist theory view law as a scientific treatment system to cure pathologies and rehabilitate offenders, no concern on civil rights. The classical theory view law as a social contract, exists to protect society due to process and concern with civil rights restrictions on the system. The purpose of sentencing, according to the positivist theory, is to treat and reform. So sentences are indeterminate or variable or vary in length until cured. And the purpose of sentencing for the classical theory is that punishment for deterrence. Sentences are determinate they have fixed length. Uh, in the positivist theory, it was created rather by scientists or treatment experts, while the classical theory was created or was formulated by philosophers and social reformers. And both theories existed during the age of enlightenment from 1715 to 1789. So that's all for this week. I hope you understand our discussion. So instruction, kindly answer activities number 2, deadline November 9, 2020, or on Monday. So thank you for watching. If you have any question, kindly contact me. The different contact details I provided within your module. And before we end, I hope that you and your family are doing fine during this pandemic. I also pray that we uh, will meet as soon as the community quarantine was lifted and as soon as this pandemic ends. Thank you very much, and may God bless you and your family.